Hey guys, Alfonso here. Just now realizing that I'm not wearing glasses or my scarf. Well, whatever. I wanted to talk about Bioshock. The new Bioshock Infinite DLC, Bioshock Infinite Burial at Sea, that rhymed, Episode 2, that ends the rhyme, came out recently, and I played it earlier this week. And by earlier this week, I probably a month ago, given the backup of my videos at the moment. But nonetheless, I played it, and it's pretty cool. So I remember talking about Bioshock Infinite Burial at Sea Episode 1 when I did those sort of reviews a couple weeks ago. They were mostly like Bioshock related, and so and Half-Life related, but Burial at Sea Episode 1 was fairly short. Episode 2, for one improvement that makes it much longer. Another cool thing about it, which I really liked, is that you get to play as Elizabeth, who is your helper in the first Episode 1, or Burial at Sea Episode 1, and Bioshock Infinite. You get to play as her, and I'm like, that's really cool. But in it, she loses her ability to like open tears and see into the future and stuff, which I guess makes sense for gameplay. So she can't open tears anymore. But to be honest, I never really used the tears. Or, I mean, I did, but I didn't really. I used them for like grappling onto stuff. It was never really like an essential thing, and I think this is what more of what I and what a lot of people wanted to see, which was the characters from like one of the characters from Infinite exploring the world of Rapture from Bioshock. And I think that's what it gave. I think it was also a lot more focused in what it wanted to do would be. Um, the the characters in it I also liked. In the first one, it was mainly just, or they brought back. They had a really cool like area of not destroyed Rapture, which was awesome, and like fully voice acted for like everyone. I remember there was this like one cover in the first Burial at Sea. He's like, there's this one guy. There are these two guys just like standing off somewhere arguing the ethics of prostitution. It was very funny. Like everybody's conversation had something like unique to it, and I liked that. Um, and But it did feel a bit like unfocused. Like it kind of wanted to be Bioshock One. It kind of wanted to be Infinite, but I think it never really got to being either. Um, but with Burial at Sea, I think it was a lot more focused, and I think it excelled at doing both. You do go back to Columbia briefly, and it kind of fixes up a plot point that I liked, and tied in pretty well with the story. I don't want to say what it is yet. I don't want to say what it is because that'd be spoiling. But they worked it really well. Especially, one of the main focuses is the little sisters from Bioshock One, which again were a big focus in Bioshock One. Um, yeah. So for the characters, as I said, I wanted to earlier. I'm going to spoil the first one. At the end of the first one, you play as Booker DeWitt, the main guy from Bioshock Infinite, and he is killed by Big Daddy. I like to think it was the one from Bioshock One. I always associate those two. I'm like, and it was essentially revealed that Elizabeth's plot was to kill him. Um, and most of the characters that were in Burial at Sea Episode 1 were um, mainly Booker, um, Elizabeth, and Sandra Cohen, who I mentioned that I hate, who's not in this one. And that's about all the main characters that there are. Oh, there's also Sally, the little sister. That's about all the main characters that there were. Dr. Yi Suchong, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I know Suchong is correct, but I don't know about his first name is Y.I. And he was this created scientist guy from Bioshock 1, and they got his voice back and his character back, but they only used him very briefly. In the second one, first of all, it's much longer, and so they had a lot more characters in it. They had Su Chong, which I really liked. He was in it for like a good portion of it. you actually get to see him act out something that was recorded in Bioshock 1 in Burial at Sea. Like, you get to watch it happen. Um, uh, you also, wow, am I not remembering this? You get to meet Atlas from the first game. Um, they used his voice really well. Like with some of them, like he was just used. I think that was best use you could have given him. He seemed kind of like more evil than maybe he should be, but I kind of figured, well, yeah, he was probably only being nice to the main character in Bioshock One for his own purposes, until it's revealed that he's not actually doing that. And I'm like, yeah, he probably had to. He probably had to hit a couple people with a wrench to get to where he was. And yeah, that makes sense. Um, and there's also the character of Andrew Ryan. They didn't use him much. Like, they used him briefly, and then like I'm like, did they just use the leftover stuff from the other games? They did. I mean, I think there was enough stuff that they wouldn't have, that they didn't do that. Um, I think I mentioned when I was talking about Bioshock 2, there was this like ride in Infinite or in Bioshock 2 that was just like it was this like child propaganda for the ideals of rapture, and it was so hilariously like sort of evil. And then like you go through Infinite and they have one of those, they have like a daycare center with all this propaganda everywhere. It was very funny. Um, Andrew Ryan had a cartoon of himself. He was a lion. Um, that was funny. Um, and I don't think it was cool to have Elizabeth interacting with Ryan. Like in the first one, it's mostly Ryan saying things, and then other like because your character was silent, um, and it was very cool to have Ryan actually talking to Elizabeth about stuff and having Elizabeth respond. He wasn't like there in the room or anything, but it was how they did that. I think was cool because usually it's he talks and then someone or no one responds and then Atlas talks about what he said. And that's usually what happened in Bioshock One. With this, you actually had an interaction going on, which I liked. Brought back Daisy Fitzroy from Bioshock Infinite. She was really awesome, except for one thing that she did. But then they kind of explained that in this one in a way that ties into the story. That's what I was talking about earlier. But I'm still not going to say what it was. As for the end, wait, before we go on, there still was no Dr. Bridget Tenenbaum. She was like my favorite character by far, and they didn't include her. They had like a thing written down or a note by her, and I'm like, oh, come on, you couldn't. I, she was just my favorite character in that game, and she's mentioned in the first one more than she's the second one, which I'm like, come on. That would have been great, like to have her in that, but they didn't. It's whatever. Now the ending. Yeah, I liked it. I kind of saw it coming, but I also I was like, not in like, oh, this ending is predicted. It's just like, no, this is a good ending to this. Um, it wasn't like, especially like mind-bogglingly, numbingly crazy or like spectacular as Bioshock Infinite's ending, and also it wasn't. It wasn't a very happy ending. Well, it wasn't an especially happy ending. Um, but like at a point, I was Elizabeth is looking into a mirror in a dark room, and she's just seeing like the various designs of herself, like going from when she was just like living in Columbia, to when she had like the dress on, to when she first came to Rapture, and then she's like essentially that, but like all like messed up because of all the things you've been doing, um, and like bloody and stuff. And you see the mirror, and then just for a moment, a faint light comes on, and illuminates the room a bit, and you're like, "Ooh, wait, that's a very small room. That's like that's room so small I couldn't spread my arms out." Um, and then like I'm like looking at it, I'm like, that's an airplane bathroom, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that means. And then like the mirror starts to break and the room falls apart. And like it was like an artsy thing, but it wasn't. It was like I know where she is. I know exactly where she is right now. Um, and sure enough, she exits or like it was a sequence that you're controlling. She exits the thing, and she's on the plane, and rows ahead of you, you see a guy with a box, holding a box in a white sweater, and I'm like, that's the guy from the first game. Ah. Um, but like, um, what I like the whole thing that Elizabeth was trying to do during Burial at Sea episode 2 was to rescue a little sister, um, a specific little sister named Sally, and she was sort of it. I'll say this: um, she was able to make it so that she wasn't killed by Atlas for the atom that she creates. I believe I talked about that in my Our Big Daddy's Human video, I think, um, and that's how they got that. And she survives. The little sister survives, and she did all the stuff. Um, what Elizabeth did was actually start the New Year's Eve riots that caused the downfall of Rapture, um, and in order to save the little sister, and she prevents him from she prevents the little sister from dying, from being harvested, and then something that was very good, um, was, and I'm like, I kind of, I wanted it to go this way, I didn't think it would go that way, and I'm like, oh, it did, was that they had the little sister they were referring to be one of the little sisters that your character saves in Bioshock 1, which takes place like 2 years later. And I'm like, yeah, that's a fitting ending. And I'm like, I thought that was good. I thought that was good. Um, it also confirms that this is one of the times when the uh, the good ending for Bioshock 1, which is by far the best ending. You know what I mean. It's a really good ending. Is the real? It's like the one that happened. The Bioshock 2, and I'm like, yes, that's good. That's good. I like that. Now for the gameplay, there was, as I said, Elizabeth's powers were taken away, and they do explain this. They explain it by saying that when Booker died, the Big Daddy also killed Elizabeth. Um, but the idea of her being an interdimensional traveler and death and all that, it's the way that they handled it in Bioshock Infinite kind of explains how she can be alive and dead at the same time. Schrodinger's cat is a very similar but alive and dead at the same time. But because of that, she can't really she doesn't have her powers, or her like ability to see all the doors metaphorically. Um, but at the end, when she dies, sorry, spoiler. When this Elizabeth dies, um, that's the point when they are both dead. No matter what happens, they're dead, and that's when she regains her powers and is able to see what happens in Bioshock 1. You get to see that progression. She's like, yeah, and then okay. And she's able to die content knowing that she accomplished what she wanted to do. You do actually still get to interact with Booker. Um, Not really a real Booker, just like the remnants of her memory of him and the remnants of her like. He'll tell her things that she remembers. It's just a way that to communicate to the player and to the to Elizabeth what's happening. Um, there are 3 or 4 main like weapon things that you can use. Um, there's this like crossbow with a sleeping dart in it. Either sleeping dart, sleeping gas, or like a noisemaker that distracts people, and it's a very stealth based thing, and I think they did the stealth really well. you can like go through the entire game without killing anyone. Um, it's more than you can say for Bioshock One. Um, you and um, yeah, it's a very good game, but the maps are also really good. They feel more like Rapture than the first one did. Like the beginning of Burial at Sea Episode One felt like Rapture because you're in the part of the sea that wasn't destroyed yet. Once you're in this one, you feel like it's the Bioshock from Bioshock One. Not quite, but very similar. I think they did a good job with that. Um, and she's trying to get this thing for Atlas from Dr. Suchong, and at the end, um, she gives the thing to Suchong, or I mean to Atlas, and she's kind of aware of the fact that he's gonna kill her doing this, and he's like, just get it over with, just don't kill little sister. And Atlas is surprisingly like, okay, I won't kill the little sister. And then he kills Elizabeth, or he hits her like very hard with a wrench, and um, the same type of wrench I might add that or that you use in Bioshock One. Um, uh, and I'm like, yeah, she's like, it's believable. Like you, like yeah, that's probably how it would happen. And because she very much doesn't want to be part of what's going on. She just wants to be able to save the little sister and then leave Rapture. I don't know who wouldn't. Um, and that's what happened. I thought that was good. I like that. Um, and I'm like, yeah, and very believable that she's dead. I did the same thing to quite a lot of splicers in Bioshock 1 with the same wrench. Um, and so I really liked it. I thought it was a big improvement on Bioshock Infinite Burial at Sea Episode 1, and it was very good. Um, Also, it starts off with Elizabeth and Paris. I can't say that. Elizabeth in Paris. You can see the Eiffel Tower. Um, which, if you played Bioshock Infinite, you're like, oh, that's a good. I know we keep saying it's good, but it is. It is. It's a very good game. Um, that's all. I think that's all I have to say about it. And I'm gonna do that thing where I cut away and answer the question. Hopefully, with my scarf and glasses on this time. I was actually able to do that entire thing in one day. I wasn't even trying to. I just started talking and that happened. Um, although we'll collect that because I'll be editing out my so I can get the 5 minutes. I might not actually be able to do that, which I'm upset about. Um, the original thing was like like 17 minutes long. I'm gonna try to edit it down to 5 minutes. If I can't, you'll see why.